Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to thank the grace of heaven, and the mercy and compassion, the virtues of the masters, and the mercy and compassion of the grand predecessors, transmitters, lecturers, temple masters, and everybody for giving me this chance today to talk about chapter 20, part 1 of Tao Te Ching. Okay, as you can see from the screen on the outline, okay, chapter 20 is relatively long. It's the second longest chapter in the entire book, all right? It has, well, according to the way I divided the chapter up, there are 26, actually there are 28 phrases, okay? So that's pretty long, okay? Over 130 something words, okay? So it's divided, well, in 4 sections. Okay, so all right. So the first 7 phrases, actually it's 8, but 7 lines. It's like the intro. He's making a statement. Okay, stating a proposition. Actually, it's the first. It's the overall. Then he breaks it down between the next 4, telling you about what kind of differences there is based from the first phrase, first statement, first sentence, really. Okay, telling what the difference is, and then this is more like generic to the next 4. The phrase 2 to 5 is talking about there's differences. Some are small, some are big. Okay, then that's more generic. Okay, general proposition, and then phrases. Well, the next 2 lines. Okay, phrase. He talks about what are the differences and similarities that he has or he had compared to people. Okay, most people. Okay, that's section 1. So then he goes into detail explaining those differences. Okay, and section 2 is where we will end. Okay, at line 13. Okay, and he'll talk about what people generally on lines 8 through 10, what people generally are like. Okay, this is what most people are like that. This is what their interests are, or their pursuit. And then he explains in the next 3 lines how he's different. Okay, how he's different. All right, and then I don't want to go into this part 2. Part 2, which we'll talk about next week. It's the next. This is exactly halfway. Okay, line 13 or phrase 13. Okay, line 13. Then okay. Then there's the part 2 of section 2 of the second section, from lines 8 through 16. Okay, and this is it's more specific. Okay, it's a more specific difference of what he going to explain from the first half of section 2. Okay, and then comes section 3, which is lots of he explains more specifically what his differences are. Okay, and then lastly, so that's section 3, and then section 4 is the conclusion, so the last 2 lines. Okay, and it's very important because he points out that there's a key to why he has a difference. Okay, and it's in this. Okay, it's in, well, it's here basically, but it's the first statement. Okay, or line 11. Okay, all right. So that's the overall view. Okay, so it's pretty long. So we're going to just do the first half. Okay, and then the second half, it'll become clear. So maybe the first half, it won't be too clear, but okay. All right. Okay, now let's dive into the chapter 20, first line. Okay. 绝学无忧 Okay, then cease learning, no more worries. That's the pretty direct translation. Okay, I don't want to go into these I mean, you guys can look at this, but all right. The basic meaning is to stop focusing too much on dead knowledge, static knowledge from books that have not been applied and tested and realized. Then there will be no worries. Okay, that's just book learning. Okay, pure book learning. Either too much theory or not practical enough, etc. Okay, so another meaning of 绝学. 绝 means to cut. Okay, to eliminate and so stop relying too much on book knowledge. It can make one be disconnected from reality. Okay, that's okay. I mean, that's very basic, very superficial. Another understanding or meaning is that the knowledge that we learn is neither good nor bad. It's just a tool. It's it's to be used, right? Okay. All right. Now that's all pretty basic stuff, but there's deeper. Here's what he meant by stop learning. Okay. To stop learning dualism. Okay, dualism, but rather learn what's the absolute. Okay, so he's not saying that you can't learn knowledge. So this is very important. Okay, he's not saying that you cannot learn knowledge, because knowledge is a tool. Okay, so it could be useful, right, in everyday life, right? But to him, that's not the highest level of learning. Okay, rather you have to learn what is the absolute, and we'll define. We'll kind of throughout the rest of the chapter, he'll hint at what is the absolute. Okay, so what is the absolute? What is the to learn to know the absolute. Okay. So the deeper understanding is to learn the one. Okay, 学为一的. The one is the absolute, right? 独一无二. So this is very important. Okay, this is very important theme or topic for this chapter. Okay, which is the eternal, Buddha nature essence. All right. So because why? The Buddha nature is non-dualistic, right? So it's the absolute. Right. So basically, Lao Tzu's first statement is saying, we should not learn or do not stop. How about that? Do not stop learning at just the dualities or the dualistic knowledge, right? That's not everything. That's not the most important. But the most important is about our Buddha nature. What is absolute? That's the highest level. That's what we really should learn. Now, what comes first? I mean, Lao Tzu didn't specifically say, well, you learn the absolute first and dualism. No, he didn't say that. I mean, but to him, you can learn duality, right? Because it's practical, but it's limited. So he's just trying to remind us that that's not everything, right? Learning knowledge, book knowledge, it's not everything. It's not everything. The most important is the absolute. Actually, you have to do both. You have to learn absolute and relative, right? Buddha talks about everything is from the absolute. Okay, to Buddha, everything's the absolute. Okay, well, all his teachings are from the absolute perspective. Okay, all right. If you look at the first paragraph of the Diamond Sutra, for example, I mean, it's this. Actually, the first 4 words, it's talking about absolute, right? Thus have I heard, right? It's about that. Okay. All right. So it's from that perspective. Okay. All right. Okay. So the higher understanding is this. Okay. Yeah, this is what I was hinting at when. Okay, so all the knowledge we learn in this world is intelligence, which we then use in our daily lives. Okay, that's practical. But by learning the absolute, though, we will not fall into subject-object duality. Okay, because all knowledge, remember, is dualistic. Okay, that's the problem. That's the limitation. Maybe that's a better way to say. Okay, so it's subject-object duality. That's how we gain knowledge, right? Okay, there's a me, and then there's an it, or the object, right? Subject-object. Okay, now by learning the absolute, or by understanding the absolute perspective, there will be no subject of action nor object of action. Okay, right? 主观的能做跟客观的所做. Okay, thus there will be no four marks. That's the form. Anybody know what the four marks are? Right? The ego, the personality, the life, and sentient being. Right? That's the way it's translated in the Diamond Sutra. It's not easy to understand what is that. Okay, actually, that is the way to understand subject-object duality. Or sorry, the four marks. The easy way to understand the four marks is to let me change this view here. Okay, let's reduce it. Is to view it in terms of with respect to our the five senses. Okay, that's one way. This is too small. Like this. Forget it. Okay, it's to look at, let's say, to use our eyesight. For example, you can use hearing to, okay, so you see something, right? Right? I see an object, right? For example, or I see a person. Okay, so okay, so the I is your ego, right? Okay, yeah, it's me, right? Okay, I'm doing the seeing, or the viewing. Well, okay, all right. So okay, you guys can see this, right? It's not. I didn't use the. I'm just using the regular. Okay, regular printout layout, not the web layout. Okay, all right. So I see, an object, or you. Okay, so that's the self, or Ada. Okay, then the object of your view, person, an object, anything, right? So that's the Zen. Okay, that's the personality. I mean, that's how it's translated in Diamond Sutra. Okay, so therefore, in the first two form or marks is the subject-object duality. Okay, all right. Then the third is you don't just view it, view one thing. I see a person, I see another person, I see many persons, I see a mountain, I see lots of mountains, I see a tree, I see a lot of trees, a forest, a jungle, etc. I see many, many different things. So that's called sentient being. Okay, all right, which is the five skandhas. Okay, made up the five. Okay, so that's the 众生. Okay, literally means sentient beings. That's what it means. It just means many, multitudes of objects. Okay, or many different objects. And then you not only see the many different objects, right, but you see it continuously, right? We always see, right? We're always constantly seeing, so it's a notion of time. Okay, and that's what life means. Okay, so it's soul. Okay, so when you just read the translation as ego, personality, being, life, it's not very clear. It seems very abstract. Okay, so that's what the four marks mean. Okay, all right. So okay, all right. So without the four marks, though, if you don't have any of those four things, right? The ego, the personality, sentient beings, and life, right? And the three minds, then you won't have the three minds, okay? Because the four marks talks, the ego, right? Subject, object, all right? And then you talk about the three minds, which is the mind of the past, present, and future, okay? Then our perfect, Buddha nature will manifest. because it's these 4 marks and the 3 minds, which is basically from our conscious mind. And there's 6, the 6 consciousness. Well, actually, it's all 7, but really it's 8, because the third mind involves the past, which is based on our 8th consciousness. Okay, so without these 4 marks, 3 minds, there's nothing then to obstruct or block our Buddha nature from manifesting itself. Okay, so that's, and the problem is, why do we have 4 marks and 3 minds? Why do we have that, right? I mean, yes, because we have a Buddha nature. Yes, everything comes from our Buddha nature, including the 4 marks and 3 minds. That's true. But what particularly makes the 4 marks and 3 minds so, how can I say, so deeply rooted, if you will, or difficult to eliminate, if you will, is because everything we do is based on this. Okay, this. The knowledge is what further, I would say, not enhance, but entrench the 4 marks and 3 minds. Okay, so the more we learn knowledge, I'm talking about knowledge, the dualistic knowledge, okay, the dualism, the more firmer or deeply entrenched the 4 marks and the 3 minds become. So that's something to think about. Okay, all right. So the key that Lao Tzu wants to impress on us is that we should not just rely on that. Okay, that's not the best. Let's put it this way. Okay, or that's not the ideal, the true way. The absolute way. Okay, all right. So the implication is, in this material world, all the vexations we have, all the worries, all come from duality. Okay, and why is that? Because the duality, the knowledge, right? The dualistic knowledge enhances the 4 marks, the 3 minds. Okay, or all right, or plants deeper the 4 marks, the 3 minds. Okay, and so therefore, once you have the 4 marks, right, you have the ego, right? That's when you're going to start having worries or, vexations, all types of stuff. Okay, suffering, etc., etc. Okay, so the key point is to enter into the absolute realm, or the Dharma Dhatu, is called learning the absolute and no more worries. By transcending duality, there are no more worries. Okay, so I didn't put it down here, but actually, this whole first sentence is similar to Confucius' great learning, right? Okay, we have to learn the one. Okay, that's Da. That's what I mean. A person who understands or knows or who has the one is considered great. Okay, so similar idea. Okay, all right. Even though we call it absolute here, and Confucius calls it great. Okay, that's why it's called great learning. Okay, so the great learning is the same as to learn the one. Okay, to learn, the one absolute. Okay, so it's similar. Okay, all right. That's first sentence. Okay, all right. So now he's saying, okay, now that we have knowledge, or we learn about knowledge, which is dualistic, what are some of its I say qualities, or what is one aspect of that dualistic knowledge? Okay, that's very fundamental. Okay, and here it is. He said, 为之于二相去即合. Right. So basically, this means 为 means, I translate as positive. It could mean yes. It just means yes. And negative response, how much, what's the difference, okay, between, yes or no, basically. Okay, so yeah, way. Okay, some people translate as respectful response. Okay, it's response of agreement, which means yes. Okay, I agree. Okay, all right. Just means no, nay, or negative, or some people say scornful. It's disrespectful response or disagreement. Okay, it could mean crooked. All right, all right. So the basic meaning is, what's the difference between saying yes because you agree and saying no because you disagree? Basically, that's what the line means. Okay, so the additional meaning is, do not stress over positive or negative opinion from anyone, but pay more attention to your own internal validation rather than external peer approval. Do not be too concerned about reputation, image, and okay, yeah, that's a little bit deeper and a little bit, more broader interpretation or connotation. It's not wrong. It implies that too. Okay, all right, but here's the deeper understanding of this. Okay, or another perspective. Okay, Wei means to agree with something that is correct or that conforms to principles. So it's a respectful response. Okay, means to disagree with something that's incorrect or does not conform to principle, or therefore scornful response. Okay, or negative response. Now, then the other meaning of 几何 means something that's very minute. Okay, the definition of 几何 normally is, what's the difference? Okay, how much? Sorry, 几何, how much? Okay, but this one just means it's very minute. Okay, so basically, the deeper understanding is that to agree or to disagree in response is the result from the first line above once we learn duality, right? Remember the very first phrase, sentence, where we talk about, knowledge or learning knowledge or cease learning about duality. It's this. Once we learn duality or knowledge, then, you're going to have the two sides, right? Agree, yes or nay, yay or nay, okay, where we fall into two sides, okay, which is the start of differences. Now, this is from the external perspective. It is still minute. It's still minute because it hasn't completely taken form. So this is still like in the theory stage, which is abstract, okay, the theory stage, or in our mind, you could say, or it's in our minds, okay. So that is still small difference, tiny. It's not, because it hasn't taken form. It hasn't taken form. Okay. So to agree, disagree. So Lao Tzu is saying, okay, once we learn duality, right? The first line, the first sentence of this chapter, once we learn knowledge, which is dualistic, then small differences will start to appear. Small, initially very small. And that's what he's saying by yes and no, or agree, disagree, yay and nay. Okay, it will start this knowledge, this because it's dualistic, will give rise to differences. But at the start, at the initial stage, it's very small, it's very minute. Okay, that's what he's saying. Okay, and for practical purposes, whatever we learn, right, whatever knowledge we have, those differences initially will only appear in our mind. Okay, all right, because it hasn't taken shape. We haven't taken action or respond to it yet. Okay, so in this case, this is talking about response. We haven't responded to it yet. Okay, so all right, so the higher understanding is at the beginning, right, before the response, for example, saying yes or no. Okay, before the response is spoken out, the action from your mouth is still the same. So the difference between positive and negative is still very small. Okay, so this is a very physical, example. Okay, right? When you say yes or no, you're just moving your lips, right? Yeah, the sound is different, right? One sounds yes, the other sounds like no. Okay, but from a physical standpoint, external, that's why I say external, it's still very minute, right? It's not much different. Okay, so the implication is, after this, the positive or negative response comes out, then the differences become greater, right? Right? Because then you either take action, you either nod your head, or you indicate with your hand or whatever, okay, that you agree, or you shake your head or indicate with your hands or arms that you disagree, right? So those differences become bigger, right? Because it's taken shape, it's taken form, it's manifested. All right. Originally, it's just in your mind saying, "Oh, okay, I agree. I say yes or I say no." It's still very slight difference. Okay. So this is the way, you know, the differences gets amplified or gets magnified from tiny to, you can say obvious or to egregious. Okay. So the key point is this: after we enter into duality, right? After we learn all this knowledge, although the difference between the two sides, the opposites, positive and negative responses, for example, are slight in the beginning, but the differences are amplified as the responses are manifested or taken into form, come to form. Okay, so that's the first, the lines 2 and 3, or phrases 2 and 3. Okay, then the next two, he's talking about now after the response are manifested and taken shape, then the difference is huge. Okay, so here's the translation. It says, goodness and evil, how much do they differ? Okay, 善之与恶. Okay, good. Okay, yeah, 善 is very broad, can be used very broadly. Okay, yeah, it means benevolent, very specifically, but it just means to be good, perfect, all that stuff. Okay, is, it's something that's evil, malevolent, etc., etc. Okay, vicious. Okay, so the basic meaning of this line is, how much is the difference between good and evil? Right? First, he asks how much was the difference between yes and no. It could be very slight because you're just saying something, right? It's very slight initially, but now when that difference is amplified because what? It's been manifested and it's taken shape, taken form. Then, so he called that san and that those are qualities, if you will, or differences that's taken form. Okay, that's kind of obvious, if you will. Okay, so that's the differences getting bigger. So the deeper meaning of san, or benevolence, is all that which benefits or help others. Okay, so, and the deeper meaning of is all that which endangers or harms others. So it becomes, that difference is big, right? It's big, right? You could see things that help others or benefit others, and you could see things that endangers or harm others. So those are big differences, right? Okay. So the deeper meaning is, by taking the perspective of the middle way in order to understand both sides, the mind at the complete state of which is the mind at complete state of equanimity and unperturbedness, unlike ordinary people who know only one view on right and wrong, good and evil, sages have their abilities. Yeah, this is a little bit maybe kind of abstract. It just being saying that we have to understand, if you know the absolute, that's maybe better way of saying, which is the middle way, that's the perspective. You can see both sides. Okay, that's very important. It's like saying you are the third party. You see two things, and you see how big the differences are. Okay, the opposites, if you will. Okay, and the only way to be able to see that or be in that perspective, if you will, is our mind have to be at the complete state of equanimity, okay, and perturbedness. Okay. Now, if we're not at this state, okay, we're at those two extremes. We're either on one side or the other. So therefore, at that duality state, if you will, we only know one view of right and wrong, good and evil. And that's the problem. That's why throughout history, not just today especially, but throughout history, we have very, how can I say, narrow, yeah, you can say narrow or limited views on just right and wrong, good and evil. Extreme, you can say extreme. And that's a problem. Okay. That's all because of the knowledge. We just learned about duality and nothing else. Well, not the absolute. and unfortunately, that will lead to these extreme views on right or wrong, good and evil. But sages are different. Because sages know the absolute, right? They're at one. So they can like step back, if you will. I mean, be aloof, detached from these opposites or these, these extremes, if you will. Because why? They are in a state of this, okay, equanimity and unperturbed. Okay, absolute. You can say absolute. Not okay. And they can see all the perspectives, not just one side or the other. Okay, so that's very important. All right. Okay. So deeper understanding. This is by understanding both sides, we will know what benefits them and what harms them. By this point, the difference between good and evil is very great from an internal perspective. It's amplified. Okay. All right. All right. So, okay. The higher understanding is when we are responding to matters, right? 应对的时候, we must have our true self become the master. That's very important. Be the master, because we have to have that absolute view, if you will, okay, or perspective, grasping, where the true principles are, right? Okay, which is the absolute principle. Okay, the true, not the dualistic, okay, principles, okay, which will lead us to follow the truth to do what is good. Okay, so we will be in conformance or be in accordance, be congruent to the true principles. And so our actions will follow. Okay, so that's what we must do when we're responding. Oh, you can say the ideal. This is what the sages would do, the Buddhas would approach. Okay, unlike most of us who just have we have like a one view, just one view on right and wrong, meaning extreme, meaning, it's either all this or none of that, or all of that and none of this. Okay. And that's dangerous. Okay. That's what really harms people. Okay. Okay. The implication is if we cannot grasp, the true principle, then our true selves will be concealed by our selfish desires, ego, right? From the 4 marks, okay? Okay, cravings, fame and gain, okay, which conceals our true nature. And we will engage in evil, where we completely enter into a state of subject-object duality. That's, okay? And that's the danger, okay? Or the consequence, if we just rely on dualistic knowledge. Okay. Okay. All right. So by being able to know, hold on. By being able to know, where is it? Where was it? Okay, hold on. To know the way matters turn into duality, our perspective allows us to understand both sides. Then we can establish ourselves and strive for self-improvement and no need to rely on others. Okay. Yeah. So that's by being able to know the way matters is you can only achieve this is if we know the absolute. Okay. Because if you know the absolute, you know every perspective. Okay. Okay. Not just the 2 sides, the 2 extreme sides. Okay. All right. So that's very important. Okay. All right. So that's the okay. The second difference. Okay. When it becomes huge, right? Difference. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. So then now we're still in section 1. He's saying, okay, this is what the knowledge, dualistic knowledge, it's not perfect, it's not that good because it has a lot of worries. So the way is, if you understand the absolute, then there wouldn't be any more worries because you understand all the perspective. You understand how things become, to the extremes, okay, or to end up to the those extreme opposites, okay. And then he explained, what's the differences, from small to huge, okay, to large. Now he's saying, but there are things, despite that differences, sages like himself are also alike with other humans, okay. So So here's what this line is. It's the two phrases. It's another sentence. It's what the people fear, I cannot be unafraid. So it means I also fear. Another way of saying that, double negative. Okay. All right. Wei means fear, or it could mean admire, respect too. But in this case, it's fear. So the basic meaning of the line is what the people fear, I should also fear. Okay. So another meaning is Lao Tzu wants to make clear that he's not setting himself apart from humanity. He's also human. He's also part. He's not immune to all the things that people regard as dangerous or harmful. He's only human, just like everybody else. Okay, so he's still a human. Okay, part of humanity, and not separate. Okay, so whatever people fear, or regard as dangerous or harmful, he's the same. Okay, just like them. Okay, so fear of death, okay, for example, or physical harm, or hunger, etc., etc. Okay, so the deeper meaning is this: like on certain matters, like life or death, all people, including Lao Tzu, feel and think alike. Okay, 人同此心. Okay, same. Okay, all right. So the implication is sages like Lao Tzu and ordinary people are the same. Sages do not set themselves apart from the rest of humanity. Okay. And the key point of this line is sages are humans also, and they also fear the same things that people regard as dangerous or harmful. Sages and ordinary people are similar in this respect, which is mainly external. Okay, so this is the external aspect. Yeah, there's no difference between sages and humans. Jesus, right? He may be an enlightened being, right? Sage, or even, like a Buddha, but what? He still dies just like everybody else, right? Nailed on a cross. So externally, they're no different. Okay, sages. Okay, now the last phrase of section 1 is, oh, yeah, okay. Okay, Huang means, okay, so desolate. 西号其味殃哉. Okay, so this is a very, it's not easy to translate. Basically, it's so desolate, how limitless it is. It's kind of like, huh? Whoa, what's that? So, okay, Huang, yeah, it just means deserted, lonely. It could be lonely, wilderness, neglect. Okay, that's Yang. Yang's very important. Okay, well, right now it's used as an adjective. Yeah. Okay, it could mean to end, to be finished. Okay, it also means the center, middle. Okay. All right. Okay. So here's the basic meaning. Lao Tzu is saying, acknowledging that other than issues like the physical aspects, like he sees things quite differently than most. Sometimes the difference is so great, it's like desolate livingness. Okay, all right, so all right, that's all. Okay, but here's a deeper meaning of Huang. It's a place that's not tidied up. Because it's a neglected place, right? Unused wilderness. Okay, it's our hearts and mind. 心田 literally means field of mind. Okay, that's a Buddhist phrase. Okay, 心田 literally field of mind. So the metaphor of 心田, 田 literally means a field, a rice paddy. It's a farmer's field. Okay, paddy, and the heart or mind of that. The metaphor or the implication is that our minds can be cultivated, tidied up, okay, cultivated, okay, all right, or developed, okay, or okay, cultivate. All right, that's the okay. There's a deeper meaning of the word yang, okay. It's to the center, refers to the center, okay, okay, which is the state of mind in the center, which is to return to our eternal Buddha. Okay, that you have to have that central core mind. Okay, which is the mind from the Buddha nature, or the perspective of Buddha nature. Okay, which is basically the essence of the Buddha nature mind. Okay, all right. The higher understanding is going to this based on a higher interpretation, understanding of this phrase or lines, that our minds have not been tidied up, that is, not been cultivated. So it's a wasteland because we have not found the center. Okay, we have not. We're we're swinging between all that dualistic knowledge that we've learned, between one extreme to the other. So we haven't found the center, okay, the center, the core, okay, the core, okay, the core perspective, the core mind, state of mind, okay. So the deeper understanding is to be connected, linked at one with the source is to have found the center. 摸到根就是找到中央, okay? You have to be connect. Literally means to be in touch with the root. It just means to be connected, to be one with the source, okay? All right. So the implication is if we're not connected, not at one with the source, then we have not found the center, which is not to have centered thoughts. Okay, not to be the master of the place where one ought to be, not knowing where to reside. Okay, recall the last phrase of chapter 15, Tao Action. Okay, it says something similar about that. Okay, so the key point of this phrase is the place where our minds ought to reside at is with the true principles. Okay, with the truth, with the Tao, you can say, which is to already reside in stillness at the eternal truth. And not, remember I said equanimity and unperturbedness at the beginning? That's what that is, okay? And not residing with fame, fortune, or wealth. These are all dualistic, okay? All material things, and therefore not eternal. So to be desolate and not centered is because our minds are not in order. Sages and ordinary people are different in this respect. So that's the internal aspect. Yeah, you say spiritual, internal, okay? Internally. That's where the difference between ordinary people, because ordinary people's minds are what? We're all residing in this, okay? And because we have the what? The four marks, right? The ego, the three minds. We're all like to pursue these things, okay? Because our minds are residing with this, the form. Yeah, you say attachment, okay, with the form, okay? All right? Okay, so that ends section 1. Now let's go to section 2. So section 2 now, this is the big section. Okay, this is sort of like the analysis, or he set forth his you can say his key principles, if you will, or argument. Key perspective. Okay, so if you understand this section, remember there are 2 parts, right? There's A and B to it, right? So unfortunately, we're only gonna do okay, so that's section 1. We finished the first 7 phrases or lines. So now we're in section 2. Okay, there are 2 parts. There's part A and part B. Okay, all right. A, B. They're both important, but one follows from the other. The B part of section 2 is a further, you can say, explanation of this part. Okay, so now we're here. Line 8. Okay, so today we're gonna do 8 to 13. Okay, we'll stop here. Okay, because it's just too long. Okay, so this is very important. Okay, if we understand this very well, the rest of the chapter is easy to understand and makes sense, and the conclusion makes sense. Okay, so this is very, very fundamental. Okay, he's laying down. This is like you say the analysis part. Okay, or the key substance part of the chapter. Okay, so here it is. Okay, so this is lines 8, phrases 8, 9, and 10 right here. Okay, all right. So he said the crowds, or you can say the people, are excited as if enjoying a great feast, as if ascending the spring terrace. Okay. It's kind of it's kind of obvious. I mean, it's not. It's nothing deep. It's not that deep. It's it's so. Actually, it is. But anyway, it does a metaphor for all these. Okay, 众人, crowd. It means people, many people, masses, multitude. Okay, you could use. Okay, these 2 words, 熙熙. Right? I think it's pronounced she. Yeah, I think it's pronounced she. Okay. It means what? Okay. In modern use, it means happy and harmonious, laughter, bustling with activity. That's in modern use. In ancient use, archaic use, it means to be excited, restless, noisy. Okay, you're excited. You're filled with anticipation. You're restless. Okay, noisy. All right. Okay, so that's what that means. So the people are excited. Restless. Okay. All right. So the basic meaning of this first phrase now, okay, this is a whole line. This is 3 phrases. The first phrase is that people are excited and merry in anticipation of something. Yeah, they're looking forward to something. Okay. All right. And then the deeper meaning of 嘻嘻, the last 2 words in the first phrase, is mostly focused on making money. Serious pursuit of that's what the narrow aspect, the more general, broader understanding is, or meaning is, serious pursuit of fame, fortune, and wealth. That's what it is. Okay. Yeah. All right. That's what dualistic knowledge will lead us to this. Okay. Pursuit either of fame, fortune, and wealth. Right. We use our knowledge to either, I don't know, do something, we say good, something great, right? That's fame. Or invent something, right? Or, come up with something and you make a lot of money, okay? And wealth, okay? Actually, power too, power is implied. You can use your knowledge, right? That's what they say, knowledge is power. Okay, you should use your knowledge to, to gain position, status, right? And power, okay? All right. Okay, so that's what 嘻嘻 means. Okay, so that's the first phrase. Okay, people are excited about this, about pursuing fame, fortune, and wealth and power. Okay, we're excited about that. Okay, all right. So the another understanding of the first phrase is people are mainly focused on pursuing fame and fortune. Okay, the deeper understanding of first phrase is people are mainly focused on pursuing fame, fortune because they have not found their center from the previous line above, from here, right? From here, okay? Because we have not found the center, okay? All right? Okay? All right? Okay? Well, our minds are not in order, okay? All right? So that's what, okay? All right? Focus on, because we have not found our center, all right? Okay, now let's talk about the second phrase. Okay, 如想太老. Okay, all right. Where's the? Okay, 如想. 想 means to enjoy, entertain, wine and dine. Okay, 老. 老 is a very interesting phrase. Okay, it's literally today is where it means it's a sacrificial animal. It's a prison holding pen. But in ancient usage, it means large feasts, grand feasts, which involve the sacrifice of many animals. Okay, that's the ancient usage. So the basic meaning of Tai Lao means a grand feast following a ceremonial ritual. Okay, usually like an emperor has a ritual, for in the autumn for hope, praying for great harvest or bountiful harvest, or in the spring, or the new year for auspicious year, where there's no disasters, where there's great prosperity, peace, etc. Okay, so that's what the grand ceremonial ritual, and usually those rituals are very elaborate, last many days, and they usually have a grand feast following that. Okay, so the basic meaning of the second phrase is as if about to take pleasure in a grand feast or some kind. So remember, the first phrase means people are all excited and merry, right, in anticipation of something. And what is that something? Being that they're about to take pleasure or enjoy a grand feast of some kind. Okay, now there's a deeper meaning of Tai Lao. It is a grand feast. That's what it means, okay? But it represents something else. It represents more than that. It represents all the physical or sensual pleasures of life. Okay, so all right. So the grand feast is a specific or narrow aspect of all the physical or sensual pleasures of life. Right? Okay. All right. Okay. Then another understanding of the second phrase is that this grand feast is not just referring to food, but also a reference to all physical pleasures in general. Okay, so it's not just the satisfaction of the palate, right? The food, right? But also your eyesight, our hearing, our smell, and our touch, sense of touch. So all physical pleasures, and also the mind too. The seeking pleasures of the mind. Okay, all right, okay. The six senses, basically pleasure of the six. Okay, so the deeper understanding of second phrase is the many feasts of life are the numerous physical pleasures that people can enjoy in life. Right? So that's why people are so excited. Right? We are from the first phrase, right? This is the second phrase. First phrase that people are excited, right? In anticipation of something. In anticipation of what? That there's so much numerous physical pleasures that we can enjoy in life, right? Okay. All right. Okay. So now that's the second phrase. Now let's understand the third phrase, which is as if ascending the spring terrace. Okay. Third phrase. Okay. Okay. All right. Third phrase. The basic meaning of the third phrase is like ascending a terrace to see the spring sight. In today's world, it's like sightseeing tours. Oh, I gotta go. We have a bucket list, right? Oh, I gotta go see the Great Wall. I gotta go see, I don't know, what's in the U.S. The Grand Canyon. I gotta see Yosemite. I gotta see, I gotta see Paris, the Eiffel Tower. I gotta see London. I gotta see, etc., etc. Okay, so it's like that. All right. Okay. So the deeper meaning of ascending the spring terrace or pavilion, it could be translated pavilion, okay, platform, tower. It's this. It's all physical activities which involve the sixth sense consciousness. Right? Yeah. So everything, everything, our eyesight, our hearing, our smell, taste, touch, and the mind. Okay. So all physical activities which involve the six senses. Okay. So the other understanding is that the third phrase is this phrase is not just referring to sightseeing, which is just seeing the eyes, right? Or you could say physical activity, but also represents all social activities or thrills in life. People take pleasure in enjoying the myriad sights and activities of the physical world. So that's external. So these are external stuff, okay? External pleasures, okay? So the deeper understanding is a third phrase is that all external scenes, sights, and activities are all endlessly transforming. Yeah, there are, right? Oh, in the spring, I gotta go see I don't know, what's a place with a nice spring sight? Oh yeah, the parks, or the cherry blossoms, right? They're blossoming, right? They're et cetera, et cetera. And then, in the fall, oh, I gotta go to this park or forest to see the changing of the leaves, of the colors, of the leaves, the trees, etc. No, they're always changing, right? Not knowing that these are all false images. Okay, right? I mean, that's the way nature is, which is true, but these are all false because they're not lasting, right? They're not true, right? You go to, I don't know, maybe not true Grand Canyon, but yeah, maybe. You just go to a place, you see the site, 1 year. Then 10 years later, you come back. I don't know. It may be the same, but it's probably a little bit different. Okay, all right, all right, all right. See the waterfalls. I go to Niagara Falls. All right, then I'm sure 10 years ago, 10 years later, it'll be a little bit different, right? Because it's eroding, right? So maybe okay, doesn't matter. All right, okay, all right. So the higher understanding, okay, the internal side is this. It's rather than pursuing all the external activities of life. By observing our Buddha nature, we can still enjoy all the myriad sceneries and activities of this world because all the physical phenomena are manifested from our Buddha nature. Okay? So that's the internal. Okay? If you can, I didn't want to put it down because it gets maybe too abstract. It's the third syllogism. Third syllogism. Okay? Anybody know what the third syllogism is? When I see the mountains again, they are still mountains. When I see the rivers again, they are still rivers. Okay. Now, the first two syllogisms are this. Okay, are this. Right. That's what this is. Okay. This Chinese phrase. It gets too wordy. I just translate it as basically saying that they're all changing. Okay, that's what it means. Okay, that's what basically that Chinese phrase means. Okay, all right. Um, I'm trying to see. Okay, all right. It's pronounced. What the heck is it? It just means that it's literally. This means like there are. What's it? It's a kind of like a tree or flower or shrub that's changing into a field, and then the field also changing into the green blue ocean creating a paddy or transform into a paddy transform into a green or blue ocean. Okay, that's the literal translation. Okay, it just means that the site the sites uh, uh, naturally that they will go through transformations. Okay, all right. So that's what the word means. It's 山海长田 okay, all right. It just means that they're always changing, transform. So that's the first two syllogisms. I see a mountain, it's a mountain, right? I see a river, it's a mountain. I see a mountain, it's not a mountain, no longer a mountain. I see a river, it's no longer a river. Okay, same idea. Okay, so that's the first two syllogism, and this is the third syllogism. Is we have to see it from our Buddha nature. Okay, because Buddha nature, how can I say? It's whatever the Buddha nature sees is the truth, and it can create also all realities. Okay, or so that's the true reality. You can say. Okay, so the third syllogism is that if we see what's the true reality is the perspective of the Buddha nature. Okay, whereas the first two syllogisms are saying those are the realities that are relative that we see through our six senses. Okay, that's what okay, or what's what we perceive through our six senses. Okay, all right. So the implication is this: people are all pursuing fame and fortune, enjoying as many physical pleasures of life as possible, and taking pleasure in all social activities of life, not realizing that all these are false. Okay, so we talked about this in section 1 of chapter 12 because of innate virtues. Okay, so you can refresh and relook at review that chapter, section 1. All right, so basically that's what. Okay, so the key point is this: if people of that first of this line now, okay, of these three phrases, okay, of these three phrases, is that if people could just focus the same energy they use in pursuing the external pleasures, they will be able to develop their true nature to the fullest potential, right? They will what? Find the center, right? From the previous line, right? From this line, okay? Find the center, okay? They have centered thoughts, you can say, okay? Find the center and not be desolate, okay? Okay. Find the center. Oops, where is it? Okay. All right. They will be able to be immersed in the radiance of their own Buddha nature and be able to manifest their Buddha nature's extraordinary brightness, which is the manifestation of the divine marvelous wisdom, aka Mahaprajna, and the intrinsic qualities of their Buddha nature. So this is very high level. This is like the fullest potential. In other words, if people, if we could just focus the same amount of energy we use in pursuing external pleasure, guess what? We all could become Buddhas. Yeah. Essentially, that's what it is. Okay. All right. Unfortunately, all the energy that we're using today is in the wrong direction. It's towards the direction of what? External pleasures or, fame, fortune, wealth, power. Right? Okay. All right. And that's all because we only rely on the what? External knowledge or the dualistic knowledge because we haven't learned or we haven't learned what is the absolute or the absolute knowledge, right, versus the dualistic knowledge. Okay, all right, so that all flows from that very first statement or line of this chapter, right? Okay, to seize the dualistic learning, then we have no worries. Okay, all right, okay, makes sense, right? So this is Okay, so this is the first three phrases of section 2. Now we're going to go to the part 1 of section 2. Okay, we're going to do the next three phrases of part 1 of section 2, which is going to be counter to this. Okay, he's going to explain. Lao Tzu's going to explain, saying, why he's not like this, unlike people who are excited, enjoying a great feast, and doing, enjoying physical pleasures, or taking pleasure in activities, social activities, and pleasures. Okay, social activities, etc. Okay, all right. Okay, yeah, okay, yeah, okay. Okay, now here it is. Okay. And now this is very important. Okay, this is the key to understanding this whole chapter. Okay, this section. The next three, these three phrases. Okay, actually, this one is the most important. But okay, so he says, "I alone am quiet and uninvolved." Yeah, this is difficult to translate, but we say it's uninvolved for now. Okay, so obviously this means I. This means alone, or it could mean independent, solitary. Okay, bo means peaceful. Okay, or living a tranquil, or it could be a verb. Okay, or living a simple life. Okay, wei means no, not. Okay, we should know that. Okay, wei. Okay, and zao, zao is zao means zao. It could mean, okay, the noun is, it could mean an omen, portent, sign. Verb means to foretell, to predict, right? Portend. It could be I guess this is a noun too. Yeah, trillion. It means trillion. Yeah, zao is trillion. Yeah. Okay, or prefix for terra. Right? That's Latin. Okay. Okay. So the last two words, wei zao, it means not to foretell. Not in this context means, or not to portend. In this context, not active, not yet formed. Okay, something that precedes something. Okay, it's not change or not involved. Okay, so that's what we translate that. Okay, there's a deeper meaning to this, which we'll get to. Okay, so the basic meaning of this phrase is this: while people are delighted to have all the physical pleasures and activities in life, right? That's from the previous line, right? Lao Tzu prefers quietness instead of parties, simple pleasures instead of sensory feasts that are more meaningful and lasting quality over quantity. Okay, yeah, okay. All right, so that's, you can say that's the basic interpretation of this line. Here's another understanding is not to overindulge, okay? Not to overindulge in physical pleasures, okay? Yeah. All right, okay. Further understanding is in this material world, everyone has to seek a balance between activity and inactivity, between noise and quietness. Okay, all right, the middle path, the balance. All right, okay, yeah, okay. Here's another understanding, additional understanding, is quietness or tranquility is much more conducive than noise for contemplation, reflection, and strengthening one's connection. Okay, yeah, all right, yeah, you can. Okay, these are all, basic. Here's the most important, though. Okay, uh, understanding of this phrase. Okay, and it's the key. Okay, to the rest of the chapter. So you understand, especially part 2. Which we'll go into depth next week. Okay, so here's the deeper meaning of do. Okay, remember, do is normally translated as independent, alone, only, single, solitary. So, okay, it's the one and only, the unique, unmatched, unparalleled, which is our Buddha nature. So basically, he's talking from the perspective of his Buddha nature. Okay, not just his physical self. Okay, all right, okay, but okay, and deeper meaning of bo, right? Bo, which means peaceful. You can say quiet. Okay, tranquil. Deeper meaning is this: he doesn't seek fame and fortune. All right, all right, okay. Deeper meaning. Okay, just means that. So yeah, it makes sense now, right? He says our Buddha nature does not seek fame and fortune, right? There's no need, right? Your Buddha nature has no need because it's self-sufficient. It has everything, right? The Buddha nature, right? Right? Everything comes from the Buddha nature. Okay. All right. So there's no need for the Buddha nature to seek fame and fortune. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Deeper meaning. Okay. So the deeper meaning of this, the last two words of this phrase, we translate as uninvolved or not yet formed, or pre something, pre-existing, etc. Okay. It's this. Here's the deeper meaning. It's this. Okay. It's this. It's before all phenomena is manifested, before all the countless things are manifested, they are all void, empty, you can say, which the formless void, which is our Buddha nature essence, does not reject the manifestations of all things. Okay, that's what it means. Okay, this is very this is a key understanding or principle, doctrine, if you will, of the Avatasaka Sutra. Okay, it's Hua Yan Jing. It's known as the non-obstructed interpenetration of all phenomena. Okay, that's basically okay. That's the all right. Okay, so it goes very deep, and we don't need to go to that. But it just means that what Lao Tzu is saying is that it's the Buddha nature which is the absolute or the center of everything, because it what existed, or it's always existed before everything, all phenomena is manifested, before all countless things, before the cosmos are created. Okay, all right. So that's what it means. Okay, all right. And it's the Buddha nature that creates, if you will, or gives rise to all phenomena, to all miracles. Okay, remember previous line I said about the third syllogism? Like this right here. Okay, so that's the absolute knowledge, if you will, or the absolute position, or you say the center. Okay, all right, okay, all right. So that's the core. Okay, so that's the most important. So that's not, excuse me, that's not dualistic knowledge here, learning. Okay, all right, okay. Now there's a deeper meaning in with this. Okay, of I alone. Okay, so what it means. Okay, we already have a deeper understanding of alone, right? Which means it's our Buddha nature. You can say it's our Buddha nature. Yeah, the one and only. Okay, here's the deeper meaning. Yeah, this is very important. Okay, this is the key to the rest of this chapter. Okay, so both the physical me, external self, war, right? That's I, right? I, myself, and me. Okay, the physical me and the formless me, the internal self, do, are at one, or oneness. Wei yi yi. Okay, so that says everything. If you really understand this, you understand the Tao. And that's the essence, if you will, of all Buddha's teaching. Okay, yeah, all right, that's the essence of all Buddha's teaching. Okay, his 40, 49, some people say 45, 49 years of teachings. All the sutras, all the, I don't know, thousands of sutras, that's the essence of that teaching. Okay, all right, of all that teaching. Okay, so go a little bit more detail. The physical I is the function or application, 功能, 功用, while the internal self is the Buddha nature essence. Makes sense, yeah? Right? The one, the oneness is the what? If you want to, break up what's the one, what's the oneness? It's this. It's basically the I, the function, which is the function. But the Buddha, the internal self is the essence, or the Buddha nature. Okay? So it's the function and the essence. All right? Okay? That's what war do also means. Okay? Or the higher level. Okay? Now, what are its qualities? So you can say, both are pure, untainted by fame, fortune, and wealth. 纯不被名利沾染. Okay? And it's still 静, okay? Or you can say tranquil. Yeah, still, it's better. Okay, not pursuing fame, fortune, or wealth. Or, okay, we say it's or. Remember, he said or right up here, right in this phrase. It's to what? Not pursue fame and wealth, because it's still our Buddha nature. I'm at one. Both the physical me, the function, which is the function of the essence, the Buddha nature, we're both are still. We're not pursuing fame, fortune, wealth. Okay. And unperturbed, 不动, not influenced by fame, fortune, or wealth. 不受名利的影响. Okay. And mainly you can say it's internal, it's our mind, are not influenced. So it's what? It's absolute. It's neither, right? One side or the other, right? Okay. So that's very important. Okay. So that's the understand deeper meaning of 我独 or I alone. I alone. Okay. Yeah. I alone doesn't seem very, very deep, right? Okay. Okay. Then the last, it's similar to thus have, true suchness, 如是真如. Right? What's the famous 4 words, or you can say famous 4 words, or ubiquitous 4 words found, well, not throughout every sutra, but most of the sutras of Buddha. It says, right? Remember Ananda asked Buddha, right before his parinirvana, at the end of the parinirvana sutra, Ananda asked Buddha, well, what words should I say at the in the intro of your, of all your sutras? What words should I use? What did Buddha say? 如是我闻. Thus have, now we translate this, thus have I heard. So the thus have is the same as the function, or thus is the essence, have is the function. Okay? So it's basically 读我, if you want to translate that, right? Okay, so it's this. That's what the meaning of this, of 我读 means. Okay? That's the highest level. Okay? That's the absolute. Okay? Alrighty. So, nota bene, that means to take special notice. This term, 我读, appears 5 more times. So this is very important. Okay, so the understanding of this phrase, this line, or of this section, is the key to understanding the entire chapter. Okay, so especially this term. Once you understand what I alone means, then it'll make sense, because this term I alone also appears 5 more times in the rest of it, mainly in the section 3. Section 3, and then one last time in section 4 in the conclusion. Okay, so now if you understand, what I alone means, what the deeper meaning is, then it makes sense. Everything falls into place. Okay, what Lao Tzu would say in the second half. Okay, so this is the fundamental. This is key. All right, very, very important. Okay, 我读. So it's really the function and the essence, the oneness, the one. Okay. All right, or thus have. You can say thus have, 如是. Actually, yeah. At the broadest level, at the more specific level, 我闻, the second 2 words of that, 我 is the represents the essence. Now we say, why Lao Tzu use 我 here to represent the function, the false, the physical I, and not the essence. And 闻 means to listen. Okay, which is a function, right? It's the 5 senses or 6 are functions of your true nature or Buddha nature, right? So why did he reverse? I don't want to go digress, but it's the reason why Buddha used 如是我闻 is because he just finished talking about the Parinirvana Sutra. Right? The 涅盘经, right? Okay, he just finished it. Okay, it was the 24 hours prior to his departure or his parinirvana. So when Ananda asked him that question about, what words to use at the beginning of his sutras to describe, we'll say, Buddha used those 4 words. Thus have I heard. Now, the I heard is a narrow case. It's a narrower aspect or microcosm of thus have. Okay, and the 我, he used the term 我, me, I, the physical I, as the true self. And there's a reason for that, because in the Parinirvana Sutra, just 24 hours not 24 hours, so just before, he talked about the four transcendental virtues, 四德, okay, in the Dharma Dhatu, okay, and he used the what? 常乐我净, okay, 常乐我净. Well, 常乐我净, yeah, it's a 常乐我净, yeah. The let's see if you guys can look right here. I hope I still have time. It should be right here. Oh, where is it? Let's make this smaller. Okay. Oops. Okay. So you guys should understand this, all right? Because that's a difference. Okay. Shoot, where is it? Where is it? Nope, it's above. Darn. It's the 四德. Okay, it's called, well, it translates 四德, the four virtues. All right, this is very important. Okay. Okay, here. The four virtues of Nirvana. Okay. All right. Okay. 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 All right. Okay. So it's the four transcendental realities. Okay, it's in the Mahaparinirvana Sutra, which is the last sutra that Buddha gave 24 hours before his departure or his parinirvana. So it's 常乐我净. Yeah, okay. So this 我 that he used, the I, we say the physical I, is reflecting his true self, the absolute non-attached, non-dual self. Okay? So that's why he used the word 我闻, I heard. Understand? So the I heard, the I does not mean the physical I in this example, in this translation of the thus have I heard. Okay, very important, right? The I, means that Buddha meant, okay, it's not the physical I, but the true self. Because why? He just gave his teaching about the four virtues of Nirvana in this sutra. Okay, so in this sutra, he described that there are, you could say, four qualities, if you will, attributes of the Buddha nature essence, which is eternal, it's blissful, it has the true self, the true I, and it's pure. Okay, so that's why he used the word 我闻. Okay, now that's in contrast to what Lao Tzu was saying, because Lao Tzu was not speaking from the perspective of the transcendental realm or reality or Dharma Dhatu. He's talking with humans, amongst humans. So he's using the human perspective in this line, in this example. Because why? He was describing this, he was using this in response to this. Understand? Okay, to this phrase, this line, okay? About, this is physical. This is purely physical. This is purely phenomena, right? Right here. You have people, you have enjoying feast, you have, sightseeing, physical pleasure, social activities, etc., right? So he's responding to this line right here. So with this phrase. Make sense? Now you understand? So that's where this I is not the transcendental I that Buddha used, okay? All right, as the 如是我闻, okay, as that phrase, okay? It is the physical I. Instead, the transcendental I is this, okay? Now make sense? All right, okay, so now you understand? See, this is what a lot of PhDs didn't get. So now you know more than what the PhDs know, okay? All right, so that's the deeper meaning, okay? So this is very important, all right? Okay, so now another understanding, deeper understanding is this. This phrase is a counter to the above first phrase of previous line regarding the crowds being outside. Okay, that's what I'm saying. So this phrase, I alone am quiet and involved, is a counter to just this first phrase. Okay, all right, people are excited. Okay, all right, then the next two in section 2, part 1, will deal with these two. Okay, all right, so there's a logic, right, to Lao Tzu. I mean, it makes sense. It's very, it has meaning, okay, behind his methodology, if you will, or his approach, okay? All right, so that's very important, okay? Oh, I'm almost done, okay? All right. Okay. Let's go quick. Next two phrases and we're done. Okay. So like an infant, not yet a child. Okay. All right. Infant. Okay. And so what does that mean? Basic meaning is Lao Tzu compares himself to an infant with simple basic needs. Okay. Okay. Another meaning, another understanding. Prefer simple and basic needs rather than indulging the physical pleasure such as great feet. Okay. Additional understanding. No matter what your position or status, an infant will always smile at you and it's very adorable. Okay. Yeah. The infant doesn't care. Yeah. He doesn't differentiate. Oh, you are, a person of different color skin, different religion, different background, different status, position, wealth, etc. They don't care, right? They don't care about that. Or you can say they don't know yet because they don't have that, dualistic knowledge yet, right? Okay, so that's why, I'm getting ahead of myself like a child. Okay, so here, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, so deeper meaning of phrase. An infant absolutely has no differentiating mind because it doesn't have that dualistic knowledge yet, right? An infant. What's an infant? Infants usually defined as 1 to 2 years old. Is that right? Or maybe 3? I don't know. Something like that, right? Or toddler. Okay. Not like a child. Remember, a child is what? Usually they say it's 3 to 6, right? It depends. Usually it's after a child is someone who already knows how to walk, right? Pretty much how to walk, how to say some words, right? Et cetera, recognize, daddy, mommy, et cetera, right? Relatives. Okay, so like a child who already has dualistic tendencies, such as i.e., they have already learned dualistic knowledge. Okay? All right. So deeper understanding, this phrase is a counter to the second above phrase or previous line about enjoying all physical and sensual pleasure. Okay, remember this phrase? As if enjoying a great feast. Okay, we started. All right, that phrase that we were on is a counter to this. Okay, there's no pursuit of physical pleasures in this case. Okay, or enjoyment. Okay, that's the understanding of this phrase. Okay, like an infant and not a child, not yet a child. Okay, all right, okay, all right. So that's a counter to that second phrase. So the higher understanding is Lao Tzu wanted to encourage us to learn to be like an infant, okay, and not a child, which is a state of non-differentiation, for example, because that's dualistic knowledge right here. Okay, that's dualistic. Okay, so the implication, most of the time. I'm almost done. Most of the time in our daily lives, we tend to want to keep the things that are good for us and discard those that we dislike, right? Subject, object, like, dislike, okay? Where it's best, those dislikes are not in our sights, okay? That's what that means, okay? Okay, so the key point is this. Having returned to the original position of Buddha nature, the absolute, the center, right? Is to be connected with the source, to be at one, right? Okay, is to have found the center, which is to have no differentiation for all the phenomena. Everything is oneness, where like an infant, not yet a child, there's no state of differentiation. Okay, so that's what this phrase means. Okay, now the last phrase, all right, the last phrase of this section, which is we will finish for the day, okay, for this class. So much traveling or weary, like having no place to return. Okay, that's now in some texts you're gonna see this phrase, 沉沉, or in some texts we'll use 累累. Okay, 累累. Okay, now usually in Chinese, if you repeat the same word, it means to an extreme degree, to very much. Okay, to very extreme. Okay, that's what it means. Okay, it just means to emphasize, how the quality, not the quality, but how extreme it is. Okay, it just means most, like it's most this, okay, or most like that. Okay, all right. So 沉沉 means this, to avail oneself. Yeah, that's the 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 verb, okay, to be active or inactive. Okay, now 累累, okay, literally means exhausted, fatigued, lazy, or tired out, weary. Okay, or it could mean weary, worn out. That's what adjective, adverb. Okay, all right. Let's go to the basic meaning. Okay, which is traveling about or so tired, right? Late, means so exhausted, enjoying the sights and so on. Like there's nowhere to return to, right? Sometimes we're like that, right? Especially when I remember when I was young, I love to travel. I love to enjoy sights. I love to have social activities, go to parties, and traveling about. And you get so tired that you don't know where to go back to. Okay, so or like there's no home, so you're like a wandering gypsy. Okay, all right, okay. So another understanding is that Lao Tzu has no interest in the games people play, the social activities that everyone's okay. All right, fine. Here's the deeper understanding. Okay, 层层 or lei. It's state of non-abiding in form when there is complete or total state of non-dwelling. Okay. Okay. So that's the absolute. That's the absolute state, you will. Okay. The center, you can say the center. Okay. All right. Okay. That's what 层层 lei. Okay. All right. So the deeper meaning of the phrase is this. It's similar to not to have a mind that does not abide, or not to have a mind that abides in anything. 应无所住而生起心. That's a very key phrase in chapter 10, okay, or the dignified pure land, okay, of the Diamond Sutra. It's just that our minds do not abide in form. That's a simplified way of saying, okay. You could go deep, but we don't need to go deep in for now, okay, for our purpose. Okay, just means that, all right? All right. So that's what this phrase means, okay? It's similar to this, okay, to the Diamond Sutra. All right, okay. So the further understanding of nowhere to return. Where do we go? There's nowhere to go, actually. The void, emptiness, is the midst of in all kinds of illusions. That means all illusions are part of the void. Okay. That's interesting. So where do we go? So that's why when Ananda asked Buddha before his parinirvana, say, "Oh, well, Buddha, if you're gonna leave us, now, where are you gonna end up? Where are you gonna go?" What did Buddha say? There's nowhere. He's not going anywhere. All right. So that time, Ananda was still kind of young, early stage of his journey, and so he didn't understand. So he was confused. But anyway, okay. So it just means you don't have to go anywhere, because where? Our Buddha nature essence is everywhere. It's everywhere, but nowhere. That's okay. That seems you can go and try to understand it yourself. Right? Okay. All right. So food for thought. Okay. So this phrase, this third phrase of the section of section 2, part 1, this third phrase is actually a counter to the above phrase here, right? As if ascending the spring terrace. Okay, Lu Deng Qing Tai, Chun Tai. Okay, all right. That's the counter. This third phrase is the counter. So much traveling, worry, like having no place to go. Okay, it's a counter to that third phrase. So the higher understanding, I'm almost done. Okay, higher understanding allows the hope that we all could return. Return to the beginningless and endingless Buddha nature, basically to the absolute, which is the Tao. Okay, all right. So the implication is this: in order to return back to the Tao essence, one cannot abide in forms. So to already abide in forms, one cannot return to the essence. So we have to let go of forms. Okay, we cannot abide, and that's what the Jinggang Jing, the Diamond Sutra phrase means here. Okay, all right. Do not a mind that cannot abide in anything. Actually, anything, forms and non-forms. Okay, but if you really want to go deep, that's why I didn't want to spend too much time. But that's what it means. Okay, all right. So the key point. It also means duality. That's the thing. Okay, just another way, simple thing is we cannot have dualistic, and that goes back to the very first line of this chapter, which is dualistic knowledge or learning. Okay, so if we have dualistic mind, then that's what this line is saying. You cannot have that dualistic type of mindset. Okay, all right. It has to be that absolute from that center. From that center, okay, you have to have that centered mind, we call it. Okay, all right. So, where is it? Right here. Okay, so the key point. Lao Tzu hoped that we could truly transcend all the phenomena, for all phenomena is illusory and unreal. That we could honestly and truly hold on to the beginningless, endingless true form, which is the Buddha nature. Okay, the absolute. That's the absolute learning. Okay, all right. So I finished this. Okay, I think I went 91 minutes. That's not too bad. All right. Okay, so that's everything, and I'd like to thank the grace of heaven and the mercy and compassion of the masters and mercy and compassion, the virtues of the masters and the mercy and compassion of the predecessor transmitters, lecturers, temple masters, etc., for giving me this opportunity. And if I said anything that's not satisfactory or wrong, I ask for the Buddha's and Lao Tzu's forgiveness.